Greetings everybody and welcome to Thursday Night Fights here on G4G. Before we get into today's 5 practice fights, let's go over a couple of things first. So first things first, Tuesday and Wednesday on Twitch I will no longer be streaming as I have a job that I'm going to be taking care of. That does not mean the end of the end, though. On Fridays, 3 out of the 4 Fridays in a month, I will be able to stream, and I will stream from 3 to 5 Eastern Time on those Fridays. As of yet, I don't know when those free Fridays are going to start, so let us assume that next week, the week beginning with the beginning of June, that I will not be available to stream on Friday, and then maybe next Thursday's Thursday Night Fights video or any other video that I do on YouTube after Monday, I will have an update as to when I can resume the streaming again. But unfortunately, a third era of streaming has, to a degree, come to an end. The first one was in 2015-2016, when the game was still live, and I streamed it and played it right up until the very last day. Then there was another large streaming period during the pandemic when I was streaming back in 2020 and 2021. That ended when a job started in March of 21, and we are back on the ball again starting next Monday. So the 2024, 2025, and even a little bit of 2023 streaming has stopped yet again. So we will find the content will still be up here on YouTube. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of the content aside from Thursday Night Fights. I'll be doing some more Redux content. Like I know I have a video aimed at a very specific scrapper on the roster that I want to get out there, along with a couple other topics. Speaking of betas, Beta 5.2 is the most recently available beta to download. It is linked in the description, along with links to Facebook and Discord, and also the current fundraiser that is going on for Goofy. So Goofy Troll, aka Jason, is the lead dev of the project. He has been having a rough time of things over the last couple of years because his brother has been critically ill on and off for a couple years now, including during one of the Christmas season. So that was a very unhappy Christmas for Goofy and his family. Recently, his brother was critically ill again with blood on the brain and liver and kidney failure, and after a stay in the hospital was able to recover to relatively full functionality. However, it was recommended that he do 20 sessions of rehab after getting out of the hospital, and insurance was only able to cover half of those. So 10 of the rehab visits are covered and 10 are not, because things are not going particularly well right now with insurance in the States. So the community and several dev members on the project have come together to create a GoFundMe that will give money directly to Goofy for his brother's care. This is not for the project. This is not like a Patreon or donations for the project. This is not like a Star Citizen thing where the community is keeping the development going. This is strictly a humanitarian charity going on through GoFundMe for Goofy so that he can help his brother out and not continue to stress the family out with these health concerns for his brother. This does, to make it extremely clear, this does not make the project go faster. This does not make it so that Goofy doesn't have to help his brother out in any way. It is not a donation to Redux or speeding Redux up. It is simply a donation to the person who is helping bring back this game that we all love so much from 2012 to 2016, and he has been pouring his literal blood, sweat, and tears into this for several years now. Beta 6 has no ETA as of yet. There are still plenty of bugs left to fix, and if you happen to stop by any of the streams, you will see we run into them constantly, including weird interactions and everything. You can check out my Twitch channels to see this last week's 2 streams, the Tuesday and the Wednesday one before they go away at the beginning of next week. So check out the Facebook, check out the Discord, check out Goofy's GoFundMe if you can. Help him out. We're at about 1.5k out of 13k for the donations over there, so Goofy's brother does still need some help. So this week's Thursday Night Fights video, we are going to focus on doing some Cosmic Flare tricks. So Cosmic Flare is available within the first 4 Spec Ops of Beta 6, or just if you want to consider the whole game, it is within the first 4 of the game itself. The Cosmic Flame says that your next attack, well, not you as in the agent, the target of the Cosmic Flame, their next attack will apply Soulfire. And there's a lot of dirty tricks that you can do with this. For the agent, there is a ton of gear that can be paired up with the Cosmic Flame, including the Phoenix Flare, and one of the best things is the Rocket Pistol, because not only will it put out bleeding and burning, which is the standard, it actually puts out bleeding and Soulfire when you pair those 2 up. Soulfire in PvP is way more important than PvE, because in PvP you can work on taking away buffs. So in round 1, if you think the team might buff up and do things like Hercules buffing up his abilities, or maybe the agent will buff themselves because they have the Blade of the Guardian, or maybe Doctor Strange will put out the Terrazing boost, anything like that. If you hold the combo in round 1, you can use it in round 2 to take away their hard-earned buffs. You would Cosmic Flame yourself and then hit him with the Rocket Pistol. The splash damage does in fact count. So if you were to do this combo right here, you would put out Soulfire and bleeding to everybody instead of burning and bleeding. And of course there's other AoE combinations and everything. If you were to do it to Iron Man, Missile Barrage would put out Soulfire instead of burning. Cap could throw his shield and you would put out Locked On and Soulfire on everybody. He would hit the ground, which would unfortunately miss flyers, but slowed Soulfire. You get the point. Some of the best things that you can think about doing would be to pair it up with Doctor Strange, and he could put out Vapors, which then would be Soulfire and Dark Void. You could apply it with Tumble if you weren't dealing with infiltrators. Nightcrawler is a really, really good one because Shadow Dance is stealthy, and anytime it's stealthy, then you're not going to have to worry about retaliation. So you could drop it on Kurt, and then Kurt would do his 9, slowed, exposed, Soulfire. It did not work when I tested it with Fear Pheromones. I was looking for subtle attacks that would not, they would not have retaliation. So for example, the Signpost, if you were to Cosmic Flame yourself and then use the Signpost, I would like to believe it could put out the Soulfire, but the Fear Pheromones test makes me think, I'm not sure. Maybe it has to be a damaging attack for it to happen, and Fear Pheromones does not damage. I don't know the interaction as of yet, but this test failed. You could put it on Storm, and she would apply with the Blizzard, or even the Tornado. So I'm focusing on A-Wing. You could do it with War Machine using his level 6, but maybe better suited as Pepsi, because then you have radiation exposure. Scarlet Witch, you could apply it to her, and it would go out with Probability Field and Hex Spheres. Hex Spheres would be a pretty good one for it, because it tends not to do a lot of damage, but it's a very easy application with multiple hits, so Probably one of them will in fact hit. Obviously tacticians are a problem there. Emma would be a good one for mental trauma, because mental trauma generally won't get tanked or protected and countered and everything like that. So this is a low damaging move anyway. It's kind of good to try and think of soul firing that. Magic is interesting because she gains the soul charges by using her level 1 or by using her level 9. Unleash Hell will apply Death Frost, Soulfire, and Dark Void. You can have it apply the Death Frost and the Soulfire with only one charge if you hit her with the Cosmic Flame. I don't know if it works with any of Beast's subtle moves, maybe not, because they don't seem to do damage. Quicksilver would be phenomenal for it because Tag Team is stealthy. Hercules could be good with Column Down. And that's who I have unlocked right now. Tigra potentially with Frenzy, if in fact she was stealthy and you're not really dealing with scrappers. I think you get the point. I don't need to apply it to all of them. It would help Wasp a little bit when she did a skirmish scramble because it is stealthy, so that's certainly a good one. It would be really, really good with Red Hulk's Gamma Bomb because he tends to do some dots with the Gamma Bomb anyway, including like ISO 8 corruption and everything. So that would be a solid one. And then, you know, obviously you have other magic users. Angel could do it with his Aspersio because it does do damage, so he would be buffing the team while he's taking away buffs from the enemy team. So we're going to do it with Invisible Woman and Doctor Strange and some gear that my agent can use with it. Now, I'm not running the rocket pistol on purpose. The reason being is that I would like to go ahead and not keep using the rocket pistol as a very good crutch in these PvP videos. The rocket pistol is amazing. Solid single target damage, wonderful splash, and the splash does actually work with the Cosmic Flame. Everybody would get Soulfire once they got splashed. Instead, I am going to go ahead and just shield the team. I'm not doing the Phoenix Flare because I don't want to be stunned this early. I would rather wait until people are low enough that perhaps that... Ooh, God. Perhaps that AoE would actually be enough to kill. So, Doctor Strange still hasn't used his turn. I'm going to go ahead and single target the agent over there because they have the Hoarfrost Mace. So that means they're tanking. You could Cosmic Flame Hulk's Thunderclap. That is a possibility, yes. I find it better when you can work it into teams that like to do dots regardless. My agent really has nothing to do right now other than the Phoenix Flare, so I'm going to have to just wait my turn. The damage is still worth it. Whenever you think the Phoenix Flare can do enough damage that the kicks like a mule doesn't matter, then that's a good thing. Especially if you think it might get a kill. See, there goes Soulfire. Hulk is out. Quicksilver is just about dead. Dark Void went out. Soulfire went out. What I wanted to do was to go ahead and get the Dark Sigil before this video. However, when I played it on normal, not challenge mode, just a few minutes ago, the other piece of gear dropped from this one. It was the ring, and I didn't even bother trying to respin. That was on the spinner. The Dark Sigil was not. I think it is positively on brand with the Cosmic Flame, because it would put out Dark Void and Soulfire at that point instead of just a standard burning. Seems like you're leaning heavy on the magic. We know the Dark Sigil hits really, really well. So we have Agent Flynn again, the infamous switcher. I'm going to try this time hitting myself and see if the Phoenix Flair's stun winds up kicking in or not. And it could be worth it. The agent might counterattack me, but it could be worth it because I know that agent has a lot of debuffs on them already. So adding 10 damage plus the Soulfire may absolutely be worth it because they may die to dots. Which Flair almost did. So I'm going to go ahead and plug Flynn. I don't have to worry about him anymore. And because this team is very eternal and can walk through a lot of stuff while you execute your vision and your plan, we're going to play it a little bit defensive, do terracing boost, and we will go ahead and Invisible Woman is not in her white suit on this one because we're not teaming her up with other Fantastic Four. So it's fine to still keep the generic suit around. And that's the Coulson's revenge, everybody. That's the Coulson's revenge being a little bit buggy and making everybody else jump in from the damage over there. Alright, we are 2-0. It looks like my agent goes last, but right in front of an Invisible Woman. So I think what I'm going to do is try to set up Sue to spread the benefit. Also, you could, I prefer to do it with AoE, but you could do something like single targeting somebody with the damnation chains and consume the Soulfire proc that way. That is certainly a possibility. I just find it more effective to be used with AoE rather than single target. Yes, the agent did technically die. There is a little bit of a stack order issue there, where the dots applied and then the hots applied, or the heals over time. So essentially what happened is the agent died to her dots, and then the hot, or the heal of time, kind of resurrected her. If the order was changed so that the hots went first and then the dots, then you would have proper death in that situation. I don't think Sue's counter counts. Yep, Soul's Wrath is still there. So now let's do the AoE, which we know is stealthy. And it applies to everybody. Probability Field with Scarlet Witch is another one that I think could be interesting. I think it would, in fact, add to that one. And we can certainly try, as there is an enemy agent out there who I do believe uses Invisible Woman and Scarlet Witch. As a matter of fact, they were one of the ones that gave me multiple problems during the streams this week, and last week's video was that Invisible Woman, Scarlet Witch team up. Phoenix Flair should take everybody out. Almost everybody, as it did not kill Ghost Rider, but Ghost Rider's dotted enough that he would fall over anyway. Alright. Sue does not have a space to train at the moment. So we are going to go back for the last two matches. We will switch it to Scarlet Witch. So now I'm sort of emulating one of the defensive teams that's out there to a small degree. Bruiser, Scrapper, Bruiser, kind of really good for me except for Invisible Woman. I'm going to hit Scarlet Witch with this. So you could say this is Soulfire delayed. And single target the enemy agent because we know this agent is going to tank. And the agent is out of there, so we have free reign to work on the enemy team as we choose at this point. I'm going to shield. And now here on probability field, it should create Soulfire. A little bit of hyper combat is going on here. That's when everything sort of happens at once. It looks like no dots. Oh, there we go. Now, it looks like no dots showed up on the enemy team whatsoever. It definitely works with Hex Spheres. That is for sure. Now, this is... what I just did there is sort of a little bit of a trick. I used the Phoenix Flame, or the Phoenix Flare, which should cause me to miss the next turn. However, there is a possibility of gaining a extra turn over there if the shield pops. So this way, if Hercules was able to punch my agent right now and he popped the shield, the Magneto shield would give my agent an extra turn, which would then hopefully drop the slow recharge off, and then when his turn comes up naturally in the next round, the stun will have expired because it was forced to proc early. I do believe that's what would happen in that case. Kicks Like a Mule definitely operates that way. I'm not too sure if slow recharge does. Scarlet Witch goes first, so let's go ahead and put out the... We take an AoE from there too. Now, Reactive Shields is, of course, a pretty solid passive. Honestly, take the Fantastic Four over to the Future Foundation as soon as you can. They are just so much better at that. Okay. The enemy Scarlet Witch is up. I want to try to do Scarlet Witch's 9 again, the probability field, and see if it happens to proc Soulfire, like I believe I had seen it do that in PvP. Here we go with the reality warping and the fourth field and everything. That's what this team has been doing a lot lately. Alright. Soul's Wrath. Probability field. Bunch of people did get dots. Let's see if Soulfire was one of them. No, okay, so it does seem to be a failure with Scarlet Witch and probability field. By the way, my Sue is using the PKB method, and I do believe that my Scarlet Witch is too. I'm using the Phoenix Flare to end well, okay, maybe not end combat, because Scarlet Witch's reality hacking is proccing like everybody remembers it doing back in the game when it was off the charts crazy. Well, okay, there it is. There goes the Soulfire. So she applied it with her level 2, but not the AoE. And in this last fight, we'll try it again, and you'll see that it works with Hex Spheres. Hopefully my agent goes before Scarlet Witch. He does not. Let's try a Force Cage on Thor, since he's about ready to act. And let's watch what happens when you do that. So his turn just ends. We're going to go ahead and throw Chaos Shield out. It hits 2 out of 3, which isn't bad. Get the big AoE swipe from Grief. Drop this on Scarlet Witch. And I'm going to go ahead and single target Flynn, just so we don't deal with that buggy class change that he's done in the past. Not enough to kill him, but it's certainly close. He counterattacked with a brawl. And then hits us with mental trauma, which would be a good delivery system for that if if you wanted to go that route. So Infiltrator, Scarlet Witch adds in and gets a kill. One of the few times we sit there and see an add-in attack from the Coulson's Revenge actually put enough damage to get a kill, and the original attack fails to. Most times what happens is the original attack actually creates the kill scenario, and all of the extra attacks are beating a dead horse or overkill. Soul's Wrath is there. Gonna test it with pesky. There's the Soulfire. So probability field, no. Hex, yes. The intimidation from Curse, no. Maybe mental trauma, but I don't have mental trauma unlocked on my Emma quite yet. But I do believe when she has it available in a couple levels, I could probably Cosmic Flame the mental trauma, and then she would put out the migraine, and she would also put out Soulfire, and it probably nobody will be able to tank it. It will effectively hit the enemy team. But there you go. There's some fun with the Cosmic Flame. Use your imagination. I can tell you the best guide, especially when Beta 6 drops and it's all just the Season 1 characters. Do it to people who have reasonable AoE, and very much especially do it to people or gear that is subtle. This way you don't provoke a counterattack. So if I'm using a tactician and I was to use it on something subtle like the Signpost, a infiltrator should not be countering me for doing that. And now the whole team has Soulfire, and they've lost whatever buffs that they've gained. So think creatively, think efficiently, and that's about it for this week. I will catch you guys maybe Friday of next week if I can Twitch stream. Certainly Thursday for some Thursday night fights. If you have any team up ideas, please put them down below. When my former game drive crashed, a 8TB Iron Wolf, which is really supposed to be a NAS drive, I temporarily lost access to my Beta 5.9 save, which has more characters and gear, and I thought the most recent backup that I had made of it was around Thanksgiving. Well, it turns out it was actually the end of February, so I didn't really lose much. So if your idea is a little more advanced that you want me to try, I still have access to a save where I can do it, or you can ask me to work with any of the gear that I have currently and any of the characters. Hopefully I don't have to buy that character or their uniform, as the CP got a little low again after a recruiting spree this week. But by all means, if you have any ideas for a video and you want me to try it, go ahead and put it down in the comments below, and it might appear on the channel next week. Have a good one, everybody.